Live.
Yeah,
We're
we're going
live.
live. We're live.
We're
Hello,
live.
hello, everybody. Hi, oil painter.
You've
Nice
been
to see
doing
you, Diana.
beautiful work. Your
Oh,
work is just gorgeous.
it really is. She's actually in my dream class, and when she records all of her dreams, she does them in picture format as
Mm-hmm.
well. And oh, she's so talented. Anyway, we're glad you're here, dear. And
Yeah.
everybody else, thank you and welcome. Thanks for being here today. I have my friend Nancy Jean on, and she's purple and I'm blue.
Right. We're going to start a trend here.
We are. We
Turn
just
on
need
this week and see what color your
to
reader
see
is.
what color. Oh, we just got to get somebody to do the red and the orange and the yellow and the
Mm-hmm.
green, and yeah, and then we have a whole rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we haven't been together for a while, and
No.
I was so glad to hear that you could come on with me today. And we were going to have Kelly here today as well, from Dozen Cats and also from Circle of Friends. But she tells me that the entire grid of Canada is down. And you know what? I never saw it on CNN. I think that's kind of crazy. But I both Nancy Jean and I had the same initial thought, Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. But anyway, if she happens to come in, if she gets that about a number of things, yeah, welcome Nancy Jean.
Well, glad to be here. I'm
Thank you.
glad you're featuring the garden because I'm about to start through my own channel, which is Nancy Jean's Garden, my title here.
Right.
Uh,
Hmm.
I have a new membership thing. It's the only membership thing I have, and it's for happy gardeners. And we're going to
Oh,
have gardening, a gardening classes, and they're going to be in the day and in the evening because I had some people said, but I work all day. And what we're
yep.
going to do is we're going to get together in groups, and if you have a garden, and you really kind of have to have a garden to understand what's going on,
True.
you're going to learn how to read it because I've been individually working with different people all over urging
Hmm.
them on with the garden, but it's really taken. The first garden I had was in April of 2021, and
Hmm.
it's taken me this long to get to where I can just dozen cats is on.
Well,
It's
she says
working.
she can't get into.
Yeah, that probably have slowed down a lot of the services while they're cranking things up.
Well, if you find you can, Kelly, come in anytime. But we're glad
Okay,
you're able to see us.
and so it's and working with Jeffrey doing the daily duos, which I did from November until recently. Now we're doing the weekly wonders. I don't know if we go to monthly, what we're going to call it, but anyway,
Uh-huh.
doing the weekly wonders, and he throws 5 cards like what are the stones in my garden, which is body. That's and I'll explain what kind of stone that is. It's fusite, mind, which
Uh-huh.
is calcite, spirit, which is of course amethyst, grounding, which is pyrite, and sodalite, which is clarity.
Hmm.
And I throw them in, and he reads 5 cards, and I read where they land in the garden, and we compare notes and see
Yeah.
what the vibes look like. And and really working with that, when you get a garden, you get sheets that are better than these because yeah, you've
Hmm.
got it. And then you've got sheets that explain each one of the crystals and why it's in here.
Uh-huh.
And um, this is really the quote that made me think I really need to create this garden. When we plant in the soil of contemplation, we reap in the harvest of action. And that's what Master Eckhart. Is she
Yes.
there? Yay! Good girl. And and then the other one is to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow, and that's a quote from Audrey Hepburn. So
Yes.
what I figured out what you planted in this garden, what you plant in the contemplation of this garden. The other thing I'll tell you about the garden is planting seeds in your garden is like planting thoughts in your mind. Nourish the good ones and pull out the weeds. And I actually have I call the spaces in here tiles. It's called
Yes.
restate, and that actually means that's a place when a stone shows in there. You have to weed. You have to weed what
Right.
you feel about that thing so you can clear it up. And if you come and take my class, I have a whole workbook on how to throw stones into each of the tiles and record how those vibrations feel for you and how to get yourself acquainted with it because there's nobody else, there's not like 100 years worth of books like there are about right or weight. It should be interpreted this way. Um, and the other thing about the garden is, as y'all know, I don't, except with on Sunday mornings in selective ways, I do a little bit of politics with Scott Allen on his channel, Spiritual Essence. But otherwise, I don't do politics because I worked in it and I
Right.
had enough of it. Thank you very much. But and when I was working with this, I realized I couldn't throw political questions. It won't do them.
Oh, it's
It only
all
does
just spiritual.
it's
Yeah,
yours, it's you, it's the spirit, it's
spirit.
connecting to the greater good. Not that politics can't be the greater good, but that's not. And I was talking with one reader who I gave her a garden to play with just to see how she felt about
Hmm.
it. And she said, "You're right. Every time I try to read about politics, the stones literally roll off the table."
Wow.
So,
Because it's off the chart. Get it?
right. And the other part of it is that it doesn't do yes nos. It's what
Okay.
you call and it's this is in the notes about it. Uh, it's called situational. It's a situational question, and that comes from runes. Runes are traditionally you can't throw them for a yes no. People try to, but what runes really the way they stated them in the old days is
Hmm.
it's like should I buy this house? I get that question all the time. I'm looking for a should I buy. In runes, you would write that is about my housing. And then you
Got
let the stones tell you the broader situation. So it's situational, not great for yes nos.
it. Yep.
Um, and there's I channeled in everything that's about this garden. I really sort of I had a lot of sympathy for Waite from the Rider Waite deck when he
Hmm.
first went out. I'm sure he's tugging these 70 cards around, going, "Really? Tell us the future. Honest, lay it out like this." It's what I felt like, and I
Sure, of course.
and I
Yeah,
still do.
sure.
So,
Yeah. Well, it's a new system, and a new system has to be learned and integrated and everything. But you're obviously a visionary because and I know you got a lot of help from your guides and so forth.
oh yeah, they did it, guys.
They
Trust
did
me.
it really,
The
but you were open to it. You were
Yeah,
open and available to them.
when you
Yeah.
get in your garden, you get a grid sheet, and it's a matrix, and what's across the top is the stones, and then
Hmm.
what's down the sides is the place on the what tile it's in, and
Yeah.
it's like keywords. It's like learning keywords with cards.
Sure.
And I sat down one day and I said, I got to tell people how to understand this thing. And they said, sit down and start typing. I wrote, and if you read this, I look at it and I go, shit, I did that in an afternoon. Um,
Yeah, you were
I
getting
did go
those
clean up.
downloads.
I
Yeah,
did go
I
clean up
remember.
the grammar a little bit, but um,
Yeah.
I
Well,
did that in an afternoon. And when I
yeah.
stood up because something had come to the front door, and the kid said, "Can you get the door?" I stood up to go to answer the front door. I fell over. I was so drained
I bet you
physically.
were. You must have been
Um,
exhausted. Yeah.
and so then I didn't look at it for a few days. And then when I looked at it, I went, crap. I mean, I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes complete sense. But where the hell did that come from? So
I know.
it's like
That's
when you
really
do a
awesome.
really,
That's awesome. Yeah.
do you ever do a really good reading, Allie? And then you go, how
How
the
did
hell
I
did
do
I
that?
do that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
How did I know that? Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. M. Steve said he heard the word garden and his ears perked up. Something in the air seems to be stressing out the plants. And I'm
That's
wondering if it's a
true.
Schumann. Is that the Schumann resonance or?
Schumann resonance, and Steve, watch my channel because we're going to start doing a thing on ley lines, and where ley lines run through plants, it also screws them up because it's so
Okay.
much energy coming out of the earth that
Uh
it
huh.
does that. But um, this garden is a way for you to plant the seeds of your own consciousness.
Right. Right. And I use the garden metaphor in my training on in literature. We use
Mm-hmm,
the garden metaphor. There's a wonderful book by Voltaire, Candide, and he talks
mm-hmm,
about all of us planting our own gardens. We have to
mm-hmm,
cultivate, plant, and water and
mm-hmm.
all that, and that's exactly what it is. So you've got a beautiful, beautiful idea
Do
in
you
all of
want,
this. I just want to go ahead.
since Steve likes the garden, do you want me to just throw some stones about what's going on around Steve if he doesn't mind?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Yeah, I
And
just want to say hi to Tammy and Carmela, Miriam, Andrea, Craig, Teresa,
mhm.
Flora. Hi, Linda Sandoval. Thanks all for being here today. Anybody that I might have missed, thank you. Oh, Ann Simpson. Ann Simpson, please send me via email your address. You won one of my packs of cards from July 4th.
Oh, cool.
And so send to heartandsoulconnected at gmail.com and I will send you your cards. Okay. Karen. Oh,
Okay.
you are having that. Okay.
Okay.
Highlight
Well,
this, Nancy Jane. Should I highlight this and make it take off my
yeah,
own?
yeah. No, just if
All
you
right.
hit, I think there's a way you can hit the pattern where one is bigger than the others always.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, and just make the garden the big one.
All right. I'm trying to do that. Nope,
Now, just
that ain't.
no, just go do what you just did, and then
Okay.
get on, put your cursor on the garden and move it over where you were.
Oh, I see. Okay. There we go.
No,
Now
no, no,
do it.
no. But you need to do. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
That's it. Okay.
Okay.
That's great.
Great. Okay. For those of you who don't, around the outside, it's root chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, and tree of life. So if you saw a pattern there, yeah, that's the chakras on the outside. And then on the inside is past, restate, false, path forward, present, future, which is a great stone for you, Steve, by the way. True, and go for it. And then in the very center is fire, water, air, and earth, and I do relate them in the more shamanic traditions. And what you got, Steve, and this is great. You got in future, you got the grounding stone, which in the case of these stones, that's pyrite.
Mm.
And it said, all the gifts that are beginning to emerge for you are not yet recognized. So now I'm going to look at here. This is your very center self and see what you need to be focusing on, because where the stones land is what you need to focus on. So your body is in air. You need to get your thoughts a little more grounded, because your mind's also there, because you're thinking right now. What you think is what you're making. What you
Right.
think is what you're manifesting. So that's really important. And then earth is things that are emerging. Like think about things growing up for us, and out of the earth is growing your spirit. You're transforming right now, but you're not yet finished. So if you're feeling antsy and like, when's all this going to happen, it's really close. And the booger bear in here, this is fire, and fire is the south, and it's also our ancestors, and it's also past lives. When certain stones fall a certain way, I can feel it's past lives. And your clarity is in there, and it says, use, this is important for you, use idea from your past lives to carry those solutions into the present. So something you did in a past life is your solution for what you're working towards.
Awesome.
So that's how you read it.
That sounds like a good one, Steve.
It's
Sounds
good.
like, yeah, it is good. Yeah.
It is good.
So I do want to note that all of those egg-looking stones
Things.
that are all the way around her garden are something that she has had produced, and she's going to tell you a little bit about those as well.
Okay. I started out, I'm going to start with the most basic thing. I started out by building these. And if you've never
Right.
seen them before, that's a grid. And I just finished that today, and that's Gaia.
Oh,
And I'm going to
beautiful.
do a show soon on how I put together the grid, how I do a grid reading. This comes from an individual reading. This is going to a woman named Stephanie. It means important things that are happening in her life right now. And that's how I started working with stones, was building grids. And then after I built grids, people said, that's lovely, but it's a little hard to carry around. So I was meditating on that, and some friends and I came up with the solution. So we had a friend who had congestive heart failure, and we wanted to help him find something to help his lungs and his heart. So I invented the first chakra egg, and this is the symbol of the heart chakra, and it has malachite and blue agate. And the symbol was designed by me. The stones were provided to the company. It took these guys a year to figure out how to manufacture it safely, and we kind of know now how they turn out. So I've done the heart chakras, and this is the throat chakra, and that's lapis lazuli. And if you look up those stones meetings, you'll see how they connect to this. So I have these eggs. I have about 8 more coming. If you go to my website, which is www.crystaldirections.com, and there's an S on the crystaldirections.com, you can find out where to buy the eggs, how to acquire a garden, how to talk to me about building a grid. It's kind of a one-stop shop. And if you go to my Crystal Directions website, you can, uh, there's a slideshow of about 130 of the grids I've built in the last 2 years.
Wow, I didn't. And one of them belongs to my husband, and it sits right over the door of our office.
Yeah, it's really bright. You got the bright one. Yours
I
is like
did.
yellow or orange, isn't it? I think.
It's got a lot of blues in it, but wonderful. It's brought us a lot of joy. We were able to open that office on 11/11, and then we had our grand opening on 2/2022. So we tried to
Good.
keep both the stones and the numbers working for us.
And anyway, so that's how. And so what happened is once I came up with the idea of this garden. I am not an artist. All of the clever artistry and beautiful colors and stuff, except the stones, which we get from the ground, came from a woman named Alma, and she designed the whole garden thing for me. And what happened was I came up with kind of a matrix. I used to work in computers, so I'm used to working with matrices. And I developed a matrix, and I said these words have to be on here. And the ones I changed was restate. I changed it from something else, was like do over or something, but it didn't make sense, so I named it restate. And then I have a space on here called go for it. And okay, now after I had done this, and after Alma had created this, and she picked the colors that it's in, because fluorites are my favorite crystals, and this scarf has every color of fluorite that you can get. So so it's got that kind of, and it's actually, the form is based on, if you almost not only an artist, but she was a geologist, and that if you look at the crystalline form of a fluorite, this is what it looks like. So she took that and she came up with the spaces. And then I was like, okay, now what does all this mean? And a year ago, if you'd been talking to me, every night I was envisioning, I was going in, I was having a dream every night. And the first one was go for it. And I woke up in my dream, I came to, and I was in a golf course that I played on as a child. I'm a child of incredible white privilege. Thank you very much. But and my father just insisted I had to learn how to play golf. I did not want to learn how to play golf. I thought it was stupid. Why do you hit the ball and then go chase it? You're not going to keep the damn thing, you know? But anyway, that's my parents being in different spaces. Anyhow, every morning during the week, a couple days a week, I'd get dragged out by the golf pro, and he'd take a bunch of angry, small, ratty little children around the golf course. And it was in Illinois, so it wasn't as hot as where I live now, but it still wasn't pleasant. I want to go be in the pool. So I was short. I'm like all of 5'4" now. So I was tiny. I was a tiny little kid. And I couldn't see, you know, when they have the flags on that's where you know where the hole is, right? Well, they had those big mounds or whatever they are on the middle of the golf course. And I couldn't see the flag. And the guy said, it's right over there. Well, of course he could see it because he's like, you know, almost 6 feet tall. I'm like 1 foot nothing. And so finally he just said, go for it. Just hit it. So, and I saw all this in my dream, and I'd completely forgotten about this. I hit the damn ball, and I came so close to a hole in one. It was unbelievable. So my father was on me for years. You need to do that. You need to play golf. And I said, Daddy, it's boring. I'm not doing it. Give it up. And I've never regretted that decision. And if you're a golfer, I'm glad you enjoyed that. You probably don't like knitting. I do that very well. So that was my first vision. And so I woke up that night and I scribbled down the whole dream. And then at the end, a voice said, that's what you need to do at times in your life. Just, you're ready. Just go for it. So when I get the stones and go for it, it means everything's lining up. If you hit that ball, you're going to be so close to a hole in one and probably make a hole in one. And so when you get my garden, I have a vision for each one of these spaces. And some of them were fascinating. Some of them do with gardening. I did figure out that whenever you ended up in a structure, it meant you were being bound by ego and what you needed to do to move on. But anyway, it's So that's another tool I give you. And then people who've worked with the garden for a while, they start having their own dreams of what the spaces mean, and that's when you know how to go.
Right. And that's the way it should be, because there are no hard and fast. There's just, this is how you start, and wherever it takes you is your vision. So
That's why
Carmela asks you. She says she knows she's moving in a direction, but she feels like she's in a lazy frame of mind and wonders how she can kick her ass into gear.
okay.
You are not the only one.
Okay.
Flora
And
says
then,
that. Okay.
the other thing about this garden is it can tell time. That's
Okay.
winter, spring, summer, and
Yep.
fall. And how far it falls into the season tells you a lot. And I'm working on getting the timing down even more accurate, but I have to work with it for a while, guys. So we're going to see, Carmela, is what direction you should, what you need, what spaces you need to be working on to get your button gear. Okay.
Oh.
Ah. Woo. Well, you are definitely in a point in your life where you are ready to move on. The symbol of water means movement, moving out and moving away and clearing things up and going forward. Your problem is that your mind's been caught in the past. And don't become your mind stone, this part, the calcite. Do not become too tied to false energies of your past and your clarity. You also have been tending
Looks
to
like
go.
you can see me. I'm not sure you can. Nancy
Yeah, you
Jeans
can.
is buffering. Okay.
I can see you.
Okay.
Earth, your clarity ended up between Earth, which means you've had many paths ahead of you. You need to go to the correct one, but you're a little bit drippy over into fire, which means use the ideas you carry from your past life forward to get solutions. So you need to just move your head forward and just go boom. Okay.
There you go.
And then this, I'm going to read the chakra one last. And in your water, you have your grounding changes that you're setting up right now are long-term patterns. That may be why you think you're dragging your butt. But what you're really doing is you're making absolutely sure you're following your instincts. They're telling you, don't go too fast, because what you're setting up now is what you're going to have for a long time. And your spirit's right next to it. And it says, you know why? Your transmutation is complete. I think you went through a whole bunch of changes and now you're settling them into your soul and how to work with them. And that would make complete sense with your body showing up in the throat chakra, because when it's there, you're expressing your truth freely through your body. And I think that may be, not that you don't want to be truthful, but I think accepting the truth of what you really know and accepting it completely for yourself is taking you a bit more. That's why you seem like you're dragging your butt. You're not, girl. You're going exactly where you're supposed to be. You're on the right,
on the right path. Yeah. Wow. That's
Who else?
awesome. Ann Simpson, what can she do energetically to create a vibrant and creative workspace at her new job?
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Including, I would say, you should probably give her a little bit of have some stones that she might want to keep around her workspace. Wouldn't that also help her? Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on what kind of work you're doing. If you're doing thought work, you want stones that go to the mental aspects. If it's to get people physically moving, you want the stones that will move people physically. That requires a little more working and looking around. But
Awesome.
Okay, great. You got your grounding, which is right here. This stone, the pyrites between earth and fire, and in earth and fire. And if you guys are seeing, yes, I go back to my crib sheets because I can't remember all this stuff.
Oh, sure.
Earth, more is going to be brought forward to you, but you know what you did before to create a more energetic environment around you. I can see that you did it, and that this is so interesting that you're showing up in restate. So you're working with some stuff in the past. You want the clarification. You have all the clarity you really need, but you need to pick which path. I think her problem is she's got like 4 ways she could set this up. That's what she's working with. But remember what I told you about the space restate, which is kind of the weeding part of our garden. And when your body lands in there, and this is so funny, your body's in there and it says that your options aren't clear to you. You're still thinking them through. But your spirit managed to crunch itself in here, so it's only in restate and
Oh.
going in the right direction, but you need to give yourself some clarification. And your mind fell in restate also. And think about the situation as you viewed it. That's think, and rethink. And you're also pulling energy from a past life or a job you did well in the past. You're bringing forward, how did I make that work? And that works. Clarification comes from your past. But the one that's interesting for you is the body showed up in the solar plexus. And solar plexus is where we do our really creative things when we get our energy
Sure.
really moving.
Yep.
And your body has the power it needs to move forward. So you've got the answers. You just have two or three to pick from. What I do when I get in those situations, of course, I'm a card reader. I lay out four options and I look at which one is best.
Yeah.
But you can do that verbally
Uh-huh.
for yourself,
Absolutely.
and think about the place what was the energetics around the place that you worked at most successfully? What was it like? For me, I had to have a door on my office. I never did those rabbit warrens, but
Mm-hmm.
and if you can work that out, work that out. Okay. Hi. That's how you can do it, Anne. And you have
Mm-hmm.
you've done it before, so you're going to bring it forth this time too.
I always like to have at least a door and a window because I like to be
Mm-hmm.
able to see the outside. It's awful to be in a space where there's just nothing. You can't see anything. It's like
Yeah,
it being
and
in a box.
when I
Yeah.
worked in rabbit warrens, they still allowed smoking in the office, and I was the
Oh,
only
they
non-smoker.
do? Oh,
No,
wow.
not anymore. This was in
Oh,
the
oh, okay.
70s. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
remember,
definitely.
I'm old,
Well,
Allie.
no, I remember it too. And remember Johnny, anybody on Johnny Connor or any of those, they all smoked when they
Well,
went
they all
guests.
smoked on Perry Mason because
They did.
the company.
So Libra lady is just got her egg and she's
Yes,
so
I mailed it to her
excited.
last week. Yes.
Awesome. So she said, oh, she's going to activate it when she gets home. And I just wanted you to see that. So there
Yes,
you
I thought
go.
she's a very sweet person.
She is. She
Yes.
absolutely
Mm-hmm.
is. Yep. Kelly Bowman has an interesting dream. Um, in the spring of 2008, she was drugged and raped by a so-called pastor of a church she was going to. In the dream, I could see him being knocked down to size, and he was, before a lack of a better word, a board. And all I wanted was justice for what happened to me and the other women and girls. Well, it's coming. I don't know. What can you read on that, Nancy Jean?
Okay, let's see. I'm not going to spy on the pastor. I'm going to see how you can find
Okay,
forgiveness. Because
there
if
you
you
go.
can forgive him, when you forgive someone else, you forgive yourself.
That's true. That's true. But there is a lot of there are a lot of things coming, very intense things coming for all
Okay,
of us. Yep.
you got an interesting little cluster right here in the solar plexus. Today's the solar plexus day. Yesterday it was up and true in the tree of life. What can I say?
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so you've got your body in the solar plexus, your body, your understanding, and your forgiveness. So you have, I think, for a while you blocked yourself from connecting to your body because your body was so much a part of that. I
Oh,
think you're
yeah.
letting that go. You're weeding out those old thoughts, and you also have. Uh, and this stone says that right now you are burning off self doubt that had been blocking your powers. So you're assuming your own power. The power that he seemed to have taken away from you is awakening you,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the clarity. Um, you're moving and expressing, and just by even acknowledging it in your dream, that when it can even come up in a dream, it means you're acknowledging it, you're looking at it, and you're saying, you understand somebody's going to get him. Okay.
Yeah.
And where your mind was, I think for a long time you were very well. Who wouldn't be confused by that situation? But your mind says, your mind is opening up, so you need to watch for the signs and don't let your mind be misled. So when you start to get pulled back into some of the negativity you felt about yourself from this, you need to say to him, you need to say to the universe, no, that's not appropriate. You're dismissed. You
Right.
are not to blame for this. There's nothing that's got nothing to do with you. And your spirit is in the past, which it would be when you're thinking about this. And it's um, oh, this is interesting. Um, your spirit was in fire. Thoughts from the past had been clouding your life for you, But when the spirit shows up in this part of the past, it says, have you missed it? Your transformation's already happened. You've already forgiven yourself. And you're ready to move on. So,
Wow. How beautiful is that? We send you lots and lots of love and healing that you have to endure. But yes, your dreams are working to give you messages as well,
mm-hmm.
as the oracle. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How beautiful. Thank you, Nancy Jean. That
Yep.
really touched her. Um, so Juliet is going to go to England to meet her granddaughter, Isla. Wonders if there's any messages from her guides or
Okay.
from
See,
the.
but we're just going to look at your trip in general.
Yep. Okay. You have to. There are times you have to reword. I guess reword the question. Is that
Yeah.
right, Nancy?
Yes. You got to
Yeah.
put it in a context that I think that
That it's easier to read. Yeah.
right. Yeah. And
Okay.
it's like, you don't, if someone asks me about how is this person going to handle this, I can't read that question because you're asking me about that person. I can read about how it's going to affect you.
You. Okay.
Okay. So,
Yep.
wow. Oh, you're going to love this kid. Not that I would have expected you not to, but
Right.
your your clarity is in the tree of life, and it just your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. When your clarity
Wow.
lands there, that's what's going on. And in the present, you've got air. I presume you're traveling by air, but your body is telling you to ground your thoughts when you're dealing with this child and really, really be present for her. And I'll tell you why. Um, this, I think it's from this one. I think this kid's part of your soul family, which you would expect being born into your family, but you're going to pick this kid up and you're going to know each other.
Oh.
And you're going to feel very attached to this child, and your feelings about the child are really just emerging. Um, much more about you and this child's going to be brought forward, and because this child is coming, the spirit of this child, you're going to, when you meet this kid, you're going to realize I've always known you. I've always known you. And your first impressions are going to be overwhelming, but man, the whole time you're there, it's going to grow. It's going to grow. So it's going to be really good. It's going to be a lovely trip. And and this child, okay.
Yeah.
I do a lot of past life stuff just because a lot of people don't. So I end up
Right.
with,
Right.
she was your mother in another life.
Wow.
In a good life. In a good life.
Uh-huh. Oh, have a wonderful trip,
Yeah, you'll
Judy.
have a great trip.
Yeah, it looks fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thanks for the question, dear. Enjoy your trip
Mm-hmm.
and your granddaughter. All right. Sorry, I promised Tammy she would be next, and promise. I
She's at
forgot.
12:25. She's at 2:25.
Okay, here we go. Why she's been so tired? Thank you, Tammy, for the question.
Okay. Because you don't speak, well, there's a couple reasons, but everything pretty much landed, and you got a bunch in the outer ring, and you only have it's because your body's going through a lot of changes. You've got a lot of physical changes coming. You dwell too much on the past. Um, when it comes to your mind misleads you about what you're seeing in front of you, and that's exhausting because you keep running into the reality of what else is there. You need to be looking at going in the right direction will really help you see clarification from this. You've got your grounding energy. Uh, look for old patterns that you can break right now. That's really important for you. And the most important thing for you is dealing with the energy in your root chakra, which is clarification. You need to tie together with the cosmic wisdom you carry inside yourself. Uh, it can be very exhausting if something happened the last couple of days that brought up some old memories, and then you said, no, that doesn't work. You haven't considered all the options. You need to work on that. That's why you've been so tired. But it's also because your body's actually going through some changes, and that's exhausting too.
Ah, yes, very possible. So I pulled a few cards on it. I got
Good.
the deck of character. I get here, you feel like you're going through a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And are you staying up late at night at all? And it could be from no purpose to do it, but you just have a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
But it says you're being too much of a wild woman.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So Tammy, you need to watch your sleep patterns, because you need a certain amount of
Mm-hmm.
sleep, eat better, and that kind of thing. Yeah, awesome. All right, all right. So this kind of morphed into. Judith Juliet has feedback here. It's weird because I asked if this child was my mother's reincarnation, and I got a no, but I asked about my mother in this life. That's fabulous.
You
Wow.
got a
So
mother reincarnation. It's just not the one you wanted. And
when you thought it was, I
mm-hmm.
know. So you had that knowing
Mm-hmm.
already. You just didn't know. You didn't know you knew. Wow.
Right.
All right. So here's Esther Farrell. Any messages, maybe from a spirit guides or
Okay,
higher
let's
self?
where I'm gonna ask spirits where is Esther so that we can talk about it.
Okay. Thanks. Great questions, everybody.
They are. I think getting away from the cards in some way helps people open up to different kinds of
I think
questions.
you're right. No, I think you're right. That's why I hesitated to even pull them. But
No, you can pull them. And
yeah,
I tell you, when I work with Kelly, when we
yeah,
do, usually on Thursdays, I read in the garden and talk about crystals and things.
uh-huh.
Um, she's always there with cards and things to help clarify. And that helps for people who don't know the garden.
Sure,
Sometimes seeing it in a card helps them. Okay.
absolutely. Okay.
In your root chakra, you've got right now you're in the middle of a bunch of energizing that's helping you making you feel more secure, and you're a little bit confused by that because your spirit's inspiring some very creative thinking from you, but that in the past, no offense girl, kind of got you. You've gone through a major transformation, and I think you're pushing to find more. And I think these other two stones are saying, let's settle down and handle what we got, because you got your body in fire, which means look at what's been going on around you and figure out how to bring that in. And this restate, you've got several different options. You need to weed it out to get to the option you want to seek, because this is your movement forward. It's clarity and it's an air. And it's just saying, be sure your thoughts are clear. So the way I'd put this together, and your mind is in true,
Mm-hmm.
and that's good.
Yep.
Positive thoughts will help you manifest whatever you want. You're overthinking things. You're falling into self-doubt. And one of the reasons you're feeling is because I think you feel it in part like Esther, like you're on shaky ground, because you've gone through a major transformation. And if you weren't focusing, and we never are. I mean, all of a sudden we wake up one day and our
Yeah.
genes have changed. We've lost weight, we've gained weight, we've done, whether it's a physical transformation or a spiritual one, but you focus on your positive thoughts. Let the negative ones go. Let
Uh-huh.
the old thoughts, old thinking go, because you are so ready to soar.
Wow. That's really cool. So Esther, I pulled an isolation card. I don't know if you have been in isolation or you need to be in a bit of isolation, but the reason is for an energy cleanse. We
Mm-hmm.
all need it. Look at that, and that's kind of what Nancy Jean was saying, because we don't even realize it sometimes. You
Right.
know, things
Your energy's rearranging itself, and it's like
rearranging. Yeah.
when you finally fit in those pants that used to be really too tight, and
Yeah.
they're still too tight. Never happens to us, does it?
Oh my God. Well, if you do that, you're going to have big success, Esther.
You
So
are.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Wow. I need to do the same thing, because I woke up and I found another 20 pounds, and it happened overnight.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, thank you. The next one is Carrie G. We may have to reword this one. Um, it's going to be your part in this, I think. Is that right, Nancy Jean?
Well, what I'd say to you, Carrie, is um, I think it is, what should your relationship with the three grandchildren be?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And if it's giving them time to grow into it, or they will be back. But okay, lots of stuffs. If it may take another year for this to come back around, but because of where it landed in summer, and we're in summer. And if she's estranged from you now, that's probably not going to happen in a week.
Right.
But your mind is in your throat chakra, the elements of the throat chakra,
Oh.
and it says the mind. Oh, okay. Your heart opens up the expression of your throat. So, what you need to do is you need to express to people you can trust how much this hurts, so you can get that out of your body. And the path forward. This is a cool one for this particular instance, because the path forward is um, much more abundance will be created out of how you handle this part. And this, remember, I said the center of this garden is the center of you. And you've got a lot of clarity emerging. You're learning a lot about what happened here. You may have several paths forward to move on, and you're going to pick the correct one. And your spirit is between earth and fire, almost equally. So, the earth part of your spirit says spirit's transforming and it's not yet finished. And the thoughts from your past, by dwelling on the past or what you thought your relationship was going to be like with them, that's dragging you back, because it's pulling your body into a place. Did you go through estrangements within your own family, or did you grow up with? What I'm getting from this is an old family pattern, and in a year you're going to have a chance to reconcile with it. But you need to be really clear about it. And I think you come from a family where estrangement was part of their soul path and how they dealt with each other. And it's almost like a generational illness. It's like grandma had diabetes, mom has diabetes, I have diabetes. And I speak from truth, because I come from a family. I have three brothers that I haven't spoken to in 6 years, and that's fine with me. I came to terms with who they are. They will not understand who I am. They would be freaking out if they knew I was in YouTube talking about them. One of my brothers is a good friend of Dick Cheney, if that gives you any idea.
Oh, wow.
So, so, or he says he was. I don't know. I never saw them in the same room. But and when my parents died, and when my mother was gone, and then when my sister died, it was time to let all of. We were great kids. What I look back on them with love and affection is what I learned from growing up in the family with them. But as my father used to say, he'd look around the table and he'd almost go, "Where'd you come from?" So
right. Yep.
and I came to terms with not being healed with them, and I have people all the time say, "Oh, we should reach out." Why? So I can get hit again? And
Yeah.
I don't know why your daughter's estranged from you, but I think it's a family pattern. And I think if you start thinking through all the family patterns, it will unwind. It's a pattern with her. Okay.
Yep.
But it's not a pattern with your grandchildren. It's not their pattern.
That's good.
So they will come back.
The FaceTiming will keep the connection open that you're doing.
If you can do that, whatever you can do to touch up to them, let them know. They'll always know you're there.
Yep. Yep. So I got an interest for your daughter's reaction. It could be she's going through a dark night of the soul. We don't know. We never know what other people are going through, especially if she's estranged from you. And you are in isolation. It shows up. The car I shuffled and it came back to this again. But there's going to be a life-changing decision that will be made eventually. And I think it's got to come from
I see it next summer. I see it starting early next summer and expanding. This is summer. This little pizza pie here is summer. And it's going to go across the whole summer. And by fall, you'll have a chance to heal a lot of the breakage.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Thank you for the question, Carrie. I hope things change for you and get better, and keep that FaceTime at least with them. Now, I don't know, Craig Dixon, do you want Nancy to look at this, or were you asking Tammy Jackson to? I don't know. maybe you were starting to write something to Tammy Jackson and then put that other.
I don't know, but I can show you another garden that I have access to. I don't sell
Okay.
it on my site, but the same lady who designed this garden
Uh-huh.
designed one that looks at past lives.
Okay.
I
Excellent.
can find it. It's here on my desk. I know it is.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da. This one's a little long. I'm just going to throw some stones on it and use my best to interpret it for you.
Sure.
But she sends it with a pendulum and everything else, and we sent the instructions on how to figure out what years you were born in and all that stuff.
Oh.
And does the pattern look a little familiar?
It does. It does, but it's
But it's
complementary to what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they contact me through my email, which is crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com, I will be glad to send the information to get a hold of Alma. And she makes these in Florida. I just told her I wasn't doing another product. Trust me. She hit me with this in the middle of my eggs. If you don't know the egg story, I'm not going to tell it now. But
yeah, it was kind of a long and arduous situation, but you
this
made
comes
it
with
through
this
it.
absolutely marvelous pendulum. And that's Tiger's Eye, and it's beautiful Tiger's Eye. She's got clear quartz for clarity, 2 ancestor stone, amber, which is petrified pine sap, and this is from a petrified tree. This is a petrified tree, and it looks almost like Tiger's Eye, but it's a redwood petrified tree. And then she has the citrine for clarity, and how you use this and what you do with it is all she makes it very clear. So what I'm going to do is, Craig, I'm going to ask if you were male or female. And okay. Was Craig male or female? Female. Okay, let's see what circumstance. I'm not getting a generation or an age. That's a really long working through the
long
year
process. Yeah.
And I don't know a way to speed it up. I tried. Oh crap! I got one of those. You want to update some piece of software right in the middle of my screen? Thank you. No.
Of course.
I'm gonna, and sometimes they'll land in the outer ring and will give me an idea of the zodiac energy he's carried in. But tell me about I'm gonna do 2 questions. The first of her life, what situation she was born into, and then at the very end of her life. What first of her life like? Okay. You lived in a very limiting family. You were controlled by some males, and something out of the dreams from that past life you're just trying to seek harmony in this life, but that life had no harmony in it. So but the most clarifying thing is, if you were raised in a very religious family and you've broken from that religious tradition, you're living out what she wanted to do. Okay, now, where was she at the end of her life? Amber went. Okay. She lived out her destiny. She found her own way of power, but I think it's because she didn't stay within the limiting beliefs either. And the effects of her are receding from you. And what does that mean? Let me see. I got a thought. I'm going to see if it works. I'm going to see it. I'm going to do a yes, no. You won't be able to see the yes. I mean, you'll be able to see where it swings, but I'll interpret what you do. Okay. Yeah. She ran away from her family. Fulfilled her own destiny. She saw it very clearly. She eventually worked her way into a position of power. And I think you're at a point in your life where you're facing some of the same challenges, and you're trying to break away and go to there also to make that change. So if you want to contact me, Craig, I do really long past life readings, and I don't know if we'll find her again, but I do an initial tarot reading. Then I use this sometimes. Sometimes I just use these other cards I have that are really good for that. And I can help you focus in on that change. But in this life, what you need to do is think about her. Think about it as a woman that came, and she was in a time when women didn't have much power, and she managed to get herself into a powerful position. Wow. Okay? And you're at that point.
So I pulled here that she had quite a punch, because she had to
Yeah.
fight for what she got, but that she was a poet.
That would make sense because she
Yeah,
spoke out and she didn't stay hidden. Mm-hmm.
that's right. And she found her true north,
Mm-hmm.
compass. And then I get the moon. So she was rather emotional, or it could be that she was just really powerful. She waxed and waned like the moon.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to come into her own power and grow from that power that she had. Wow, that's awesome.
That's a
That's
great
cool,
life.
Greg. It is a great
And
life.
I think, Greg, what's happening around him right now is he's
Uh-huh.
at a point where he's having to decide which way to go. And I think
Yeah,
her soul is pushing. I mean, that part of his soul is pushing on him to make the changes.
absolutely. Absolutely. And he is. He's searching out, working with his guides and other things. And so,
Cool.
yeah. Yeah. All right. So Michelle would like to know, this is Melinda Dutcher's sister,
Yeah.
and she has her own channel now. So she would wonder if you could do a reading for her.
Okay.
Michelle, I'd love to have you on my channel. Just let me know. Send an email if you want.
Yeah, and Michelle, you can contact me and we can see because I do a lot of collaborations. I like to work
Yeah,
with a lot of different readers because
absolutely.
I'm old and I can't follow the chat.
We need to do a month, Nancy Jean. You have
Yeah,
your daily dues and your weekly. We need to do monthly musings. How about
yeah,
that?
we can do the monthly meetings.
You're all for it, huh?
I'm all for it. Anything that says, okay, now it's structured and you don't have to come up with a plan.
Right, right,
So this is for Michelle.
right.
Wow. Well, girl, you're in great shape. Your spirit, this is starting up your channel, I think. This is solar plexus, has your spirit in it. And that means power comes from your spirit and you're transforming and transmuting every day. And look what you got, girl. You got your mind right at the center of the core of your body. And when the mind shows up in earth, fire, water, and air, I have to read all of them. You guys are making me work real hard. Your mind and earth means final thoughts of the situation are coming. When it's the fire energy is do not become too held back by false ideas from the past. The water says you need to totally let go of all limitations. You're ready to roar. And in air, it means your thoughts are all important. So right now, you're manifesting your own reality. You're just doing it. And you've got your body in the air, which is you need to ground your thoughts. This is a great heady journey that you're on, but you need to hold on and stay grounded to this earth so that you understand the power that came up from the root that got you to here. Your power is in water, and that's grounding changes that are happening around. Oh God, you could have gotten a better reading. Grounding changes that are happening around you right now are setting up long-term patterns, and then you got the tree of life. And I can't tell you, we've got a lot of stones in the outer edge, and I'll tell you a story about that after this. But in the tree of life means your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. Clarity and wisdom, letting go of limitations. You got control of your mental energy. The only word of warning is to ground yourself, and you are transforming and transmuting every single day.
That's fabulous, Michelle. Wow.
What I was going to
So,
say about stones landing out in the outer ring, I got invited to a birthday party for a reader named Allie, and it's the first time I threw the stones, and all of them ended up in chakras.
Wow. I know. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Wow. So I got meadow. I'm thinking that, you have this beautiful a life springing forth in the meadow, and so
Mm-hmm.
you're walking through it, and you're looking. You looked in the mirror. You're looking at yourself and saying, I can do this. I can do this. I'm following my bliss. But there is it says, make sure you have a watchdog. Always
Mm-hmm.
make sure you have a watchdog. You
That
want your
was the
back
body
covered.
over here. That's her body over here, staying grounded.
Okay. There you go. All right. We got one more today. And then I'm going to have to join your class and learn how to do it with all the other folks. That would be fine. I'll do that. All right. So Bronx Sage has kind of a long dream here in two parts. So
Mm-hmm.
she had a dream she found a hidden statue behind her church in a neighbor's yard. It was hidden in shadows. There were three statues, but she could only see the outline of one. And hair was holding a staff, and there were statues. And she found out the statue was the patron saint of Parmesan cheese, Saint Lucio. She wonders why she had that dream.
You like
That's fun.
spaghetti. It's real easy. She likes spaghetti. No, I'm just kidding.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, let me see.
Wow.
Let's see. You know what? I'm going to ask this in the garden, and it's kind of yes, no, but I'm looking for the connection between you and that saint. I think you knew them.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Ah.
And
Wow.
you went, okay. You would never have said that about yourself. You would have thought, oh, it's something I got told. I was told in a dream that it was patron saint of Italy.
Okay. Depicted fighting with someone or being attacked.
Okay. You knew him.
Mm.
And you need to let go of your limitations because he wants to be one of your spirit guides.
Ah.
That's why he's come back, because he's in his clarity is his solar plexus, and that's saying there's more than one way to move forward, but he is there for you. Your body is between reset. You're having to rethink how you view your own personal power.
Mm.
And you hang on to things in the past like I couldn't have known about these things, but you did know about these things, and your spirit landed between earth and fire, and your soul's transforming and not yet finished. He's here to help you come to terms about your past and things that are more enlightening, and one of them is having known him. I'd talk to him like he was an old friend. If
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of saint old friends. And your power stone says much more is going to be brought forward if you make this spiritual connection with him. And I think you were one of the other two things that you were one of the other two beings you saw behind him.
Mm-hmm.
You were attached to them.
Well, it's very interesting because it was a dream that she had, and I work with the dreams, and
right.
One of the first things that I thought of, but then it became too clear that it was like a spirit guide to me as well. But first thing I thought of was there's such a thing as spaghetti dreams. It's like before you go to bed, you have spaghetti, and it doesn't mean anything. But I really do think this one does, and the fact you remembered it is also very clear.
And then your spirit guides led you to be able to research him. Correct. And find out who he was.
That's right. Yep. He's dancing actually at this point. He's got his dancing shoes on because you made a connection. Yep. He says, "Yep, we were in the same world. You were a little bit of a wild woman, but he really liked you, and he's been talking to you for a long time. It's just now that you're really connected with him. So he's been there. So open up to the idea of being able to listen to what he has to say, because I think he's there to help you out."
Yeah, you're about to go through a major transformation in how you view the world, and we need all of the good voices that we have coming that can come forward and bring any kind of enlightenment. And I don't care who it's from. Well, I do. There's some people I wouldn't listen to.
Right. Yeah. I just want to make a comment too. Tammy Jackson, you're right. Nancy got a different life than you did. And Craig, I know other people have told you about other lives, but remember this, we probably have had hundreds or even thousands of lifetimes. And so it's the one that is the most important to your lesson right now that you're being given, because that's what you are asking.
Yeah.
I just want you to realize that's why, well, you said someone said this and someone said that, but we've had so many. We really have.
Well, the other thing is, one of the reasons I used to I wasn't crazy about doing past lives. I do a real quick fix, Spirit 7, that reads this life and the past life that's affecting you right now. And I used to do that when I did table readings. I read in a wine bar for a long time.
Right.
Don't hold that against me. Um, and I read in a vintage clothing store. But I actually saw people get hooked on, oh, that was my past life, so I'm stuck with it.
Oh,
That
right.
is not what past lives are about. Past lives are about understanding what energy it's bringing into this world. And I've done some touching past lives. I did a mother and daughter, and something just told me do them together. And I did them together, and they had died in the Middle Ages. They were married, and they died
Mhm.
freezing cold in Germany in a little hut. And it ends up that the mother said when she got a hold of that daughter, she knew, I can't let this one go. I'd had to let go before. And the girl was about to go to college. And the mother came back a year later and told me that my telling them about that past life, she got really clear. They were not suffering. They were not freezing. Trust me, they're living in Texas, ain't freezing in it.
Right, right.
And that it was time to let her go.
Let her go. Yeah, yeah. And
And
there are some people that just, they carry that through from their past life, and everything is, they don't even know why they do it. It's like a self-sabotage.
yeah,
Well,
and past lives are important for us to learn, but only if we use them with perspective. It's like you could do a contemporary life reading with somebody, and they can hang on to one little thing you told them, even though that's not really
right, right. So yes, you can invite him back anytime you want. I know that was a vivid dream for you, but it's awesome. And you're right, Anne. It is a beautiful story. Thanks for letting us know. That is great.
And like Allie's put on here several times, if you go to my site, it'll take you to the store. If you want to ask me more questions about different kinds of readings I do, the store will actually send me an email saying this person needs to know this.
Uh huh.
Um, um, I'm I'm still hiding out from the plague, so I'm around a lot.
Okay. Yes, and please, if you're not a subscriber to Nancy Jean's channel, make sure you go over to Nancy Jean's Garden. The link is in the information box for the show. And yeah, she's got lots of great guests that come on. She has Ripe Colored Jeffrey come on from Mexico. She
Mm-hmm.
collaborates with a lot of people and does a lot of beautiful, beautiful shows and
I've
wonderful topics.
I've trained in a lot of different disciplines: tarot, pendulums, astrology. Actually formally studied astrology enough to know I didn't want to be an astrologer. I appreciate a good one, but I don't want to be it.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's too complicated for me as well, but I really wanted to be able to at least know about it,
right,
what that is. Yeah.
I don't do just raw channeling, because if you go early in my shows in December of 2020, you'll see the how a ghost tried to kill me when I was 17, and then I decided if they're on the other
Oh,
side, they can stay there.
absolutely. I don't blame you. Why bring back the dead?
Mm-hmm.
Judith, I think you've had those 3 lives at the time because they were the most important ones for your journey. And
Mm-hmm.
it could be that you'd get 3 different ones this time. It just depends, uh, on what's going on. And that's
Well,
probably why.
I
Yeah.
went to a Brian Weiss conference, and I'm not
Uh-huh.
big on, I'm really personally at the time wasn't really big on past lives, but I went there because I was getting asked to do it more and more, and I wanted to learn more. And he's the original source of it. So, um, and I didn't see a past life when he hypnotized a group into a past life. I kind of woke up and I looked at my watch, and we'd been out for 20 minutes. I don't know where the hell I went, but I didn't go wherever he thought I was going to go.
Mhm.
But he said sometimes if you don't see it today, you'll see it in 2 or 3 weeks. And 2 or 3 weeks later, I saw a woman in China who was running and running. And that's one of my frequent things in my dreams is I have to run and hide because I know things I'm not supposed to know, and people know I know it. And so the one way they can stop me from knowing it is to kill me. Um,
Because
and
you're a wealth of knowledge, and you are again.
yeah.
Really? Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I at the end of it, and I realized what came over me was I'd helped all these bastards get into their position of power, and now they were turning on me
Right.
because I
You're the
wouldn't
fall
do all
guy.
the. I used to work in politics, guys. This became very real, and I realized that it's that kind of a feeling, and then I realized that's why when I used to go into meetings and people would start backstabbing, why I would just vacate and not stay. And
I don't blame
that was a good thing
you.
for me to have learned.
Sure. I don't blame you. Well, thank you, Nancy Jean. This was fun. It was great. You gave them a wealth of knowledge as you usually do. I always love working with you, and
I
thank
love
you to
working.
everybody.
I love visiting you in the West Coast because it's so much cooler there.
Yes, I'll send you some nice breezes. I have the RV all opened up with the breeze coming through, so I'll
Oh,
send it over to you.
yeah,
There
if
you
I
go.
opened up my house right now, I could cook a pizza in my
I
living room.
bet you could. I bet you could. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Thank you to my moderators and to everybody for your questions. We'll see you later. Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you,
Sharon.
Nancy Jean.
Sharon just posted all my stuff. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye bye, everybody.